Life requires our evolution to thrive through time, using stories of experiences applied in life. Thus, we are time, we are transcending. This is time transcendence. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Time Transcendence. We have the wonderful Sandi Imayeguahi. Did I say it right?
Yes.
All
Hello.
right. Wonderful. Sandy, welcome. How are you doing? How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Got to wake up, see another day. I'm very grateful and fulfilled. So I'm doing pretty good.
That's lovely, man. I appreciate you being here. Been trying to really gather things together. So I'm glad that you're here and we can get into this conversation. So I know in passing that we've spoken about your career desires and choices and what you wanted to do in the career field that you are currently in. And interestingly enough, I remember our conversations, you were in the health field prior. We have a conversation about this all the time. You end up in the health field and then now you transition over into the tech world because you're at American Express as a software engineer right now, correct?
Correct.
Right. I was just curious, like, how did you start your journey in the tech field? And then what values have you gained so far in this field?
Okay, so how I started my journey in the tech field and what values have I gained? That. Yep.
Right.
I graduated with the Bachelor's in chemistry from SUNY Geneseo in like 2017. I did a couple internships in the health field, like pharmacy and medical internships, but I just kind of started thinking like I liked the internships I did, but I started thinking about like tuition. And I started also thinking about like, am I super passionate about this field to put like thousands of dollars on the line?
Right.
And so while still trying to wrap my mind about the financial investment, I kind of started looking at other fields that could like pay me a decent salary. I'd enjoy, and I could, like different alternatives that wouldn't be a burden financially. And that's kind of how I got into tech. While I was working as a pharmacy technician, actually, I was talking to my pharmacist and he was like, if you don't really enjoy pharmacy, like he's like, if you want to do it. But if you don't, if I were you, I'd be in tech because that's the future. There's so many jobs that are high in demand and they pay a very high salary.
So, sorry to cut you. So wouldn't you say too that the health field is the future, will always be the future? What was different with the health field in sense of it being the future versus tech being the future?
I mean, health can never go anywhere. Those are the future that are always being in demand. The careers that are always being in demand. But the difference is like, I guess the financial investment, like right now, healthcare has a barrier to entry. Like with any industry you wanted to, not industry, but sub-industry you want to do in healthcare, like nursing or like medical school or pharmacy school, optometry school, there's always this entrance exam you have to take in order to secure your spot. But for tech, there's no barrier to entry. Like there's no big exam you have to take to get in. In fact, like your GPA, they don't look at that. They don't look at your GPA. You could have the lowest of low GPAs. It wouldn't matter. They don't screen your GPA metrics. And you don't have to take an exam. And there are a lot of programs that train you from scratch to learn how to code. And then within like 6 to 12 months, you could find yourself landing a job that ranges from 70,000 to 100,000. So I've seen people 170,000 within a year.
Wow. So in a sense, really, I guess I'm looking at two things right now: the GPA factor, and how much practice per day or how much time investment per day one would have to do to finish this, the tech program within the 6 months. But in terms of GPA, people, even though I'm not such a person who's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get my GPA up there like that, right? I would definitely say though that you want to make sure that you still keep your head to your lesson and learn, because as a result of the learning, the GPA itself would develop. So more so stress, more so focus on the learning, and instead of focusing on the GPA. It's like really getting something from what you're learning, because that's how the grade will come or the GPA will come. But in terms of the program, how much time investment you had to put in, for instance, a given day, to be able to finish this program within 6 months? And what's that program?
Oh, that's a good question. So I invested a lot of time into this program. It was basically like a full-time job. So it was every day from 9 to 5, but I find myself still studying after 5 p.m. every day. Like I studied till like 11 p.m. on weekends. I'd also go in, like I'd study for a good 8 hours on that Saturday, on that Sunday, because the program I did was 18 weeks. But since I didn't know anything about code, I had to put in more hours. So that's why I did an intense study regimen. I did beyond the 9 to 5, and I did like 9 to 11, and then also went in on the weekends. And
this was a non-payment program, or did you get a stipend or anything like that? Okay.
I was sponsored for this program. This program is called Per Scholas.
Per Scholas, gotcha.
Yeah, Scholas. And this program is it's a nonprofit that selects individuals who have this passion to code, and if they believe in you and believe that you can actually, like, you have what it takes to be an engineer, regardless of your experience, they will invest $15K into your growth trajectory. Wow. And so they basically give you money to attend a boot camp.
That's nice. That's amazing. It's the other interesting part about this too is that, for me, I'm wondering, did you ever really have any interest in coding at all before you started, or is when you heard about the financial burden being lifted, if you got into it and really dedicated time?
So I guess I kind of a little bit of both. So the thing about me, I was just always an indecisive person. So even when I went to college, I was undecided. I wasn't always like so set on healthcare. I was undecided. And I went to college really young. I went to college at 16. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So that's another reason why I was undecided. And most of my friends were doing healthcare, medicine. And my mom also really wanted me to be a doctor. So I kind of like just followed the wave. Wow. I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to do medicine. So that's why when I graduated, I didn't just jump into like a grad school program. I wanted to take time to explore, like, okay, we're graduating. What do you really want to do? Friends are not here. Mom can't influence you anymore. What do you want to do? So that's why I did so many internships. I did a pharmacy internship. I did a medical internship. It was all right. Still didn't like motivate me to want to make that huge financial investment. Right. And so I didn't know anything about coding. Like, that's another issue. A lot of public schools, they don't do a good job of teaching you about the potential of tech careers, like the opportunities within tech. So I didn't know about that in high school. I did not know about that in college. My college didn't even offer like a comp sci major.
Well, so, I guess also too, because as a teacher myself, I try to really get the students involved in tech, and I would say now it's becoming more prevalent in the schools. Like a lot of principals, districts are really trying to push it forward. And I think that's necessary, right? Like even this year, right now, I want to start my students really get into media, even doing something like what we're doing right now, podcasts of video media, creating theater performance, performance art stuff, or really dealing with computer programs like Photoshop, Premiere, video editing programs, among others. So I think that's where the value is. And I never really got a lot of those things in high school, but I, shout out to my 12th grade teacher, Miss Anderson. She really got me into Photoshop, and from there it took off. I think more and more now we're getting into it.
Yeah, luckily that's another thing I love about the industry. It's not like if you didn't have the opportunity in college, there's no path for you. There's still paths, even if you didn't major in it in college. through the boot camp pathway.
I think you touch on this a little bit too in terms of the support you got as you develop your skills as a software engineer versus when you were in the health field. What was the support? I guess talk a little bit more about that. What was the support like? And now you're in the software engineering. I guess in the beginning, how was it different, similar?
Okay, that's a good question. So I feel like I didn't have that much support in the healthcare space.
Oh, interesting.
Like my mom, yes, she wanted me to do it, but it's not like she could connect me with people who were doing it. And even while I was there, like even when I was in school with my peers, a lot of them early, like in the beginning, they were so secure about what they wanted to do freshman, sophomore year, but then junior, senior year, that's how you really know if someone's going to become a doctor, because they, they'll drop that major, they'll switch. And a lot of my friends switched out and did other things. It really became really tough because when you're a chem major, a bio major, they try to weed you out. So they make the courses unnecessarily difficult. So I just feel like, I just don't feel like I don't think that's a good model. Like, I understand why they do that, but I don't think that curates a supportive environment.
I think similar too, in a sense. I guess it's also really there to weed out the best of the best. I think I do think there's an unfairness there as well when they are concerned about stuff like financial burden, or what is it that they got taught when they were in secondary school. I think for a lot of us really is that we hit the stage in college, and we're trying to figure out the best pathway to get a career. But I definitely agree as well. The model is a bit flawed.
Yeah, because I just feel like there's definitely a system put in place, and it benefits one group as opposed to another.
Yeah, definitely.
So I really wish there was more support for people of color, underrepresented groups, because in healthcare, like you could feel since the main agenda is to weed people out, you're someone of color, you can feel like, oh, you're dumb, but it's not like you're dumb. You just don't, you don't realize there's a system kind of putting up against you, and you have to network differently. And there should be a support group for minorities in STEM. There really should be. So I feel like because there was kind of that lack of support within my college, that's probably why I was discouraged to pursue it further. But in the healthcare space, I learned from my lack of support within healthcare. I made sure that when I was embarking on this tech journey, I was looking for support groups. So I found groups called Blacks in Tech in NYC, Women of Color in Tech, or just Women in Tech, because women also, they're a minority group.
Right.
So I would try to find groups that represented who I am. And I'd attend those networking events, I'd attend those meetups, and I'd build my connection. And then, I met people who were in the same position as me, people who have already, secured their job. I network with different people at different levels, because I wanted the ultimate goal was to secure a job in tech. And I knew that I needed that support. I just needed to hit someone up and say, hey, I'm doing this. What are you doing? That kind of interaction. So, and I got that. It was so easy to make friends. I didn't have to do too much. Sometimes people would walk up to me and say, I see that you're here at this tech event. You're a Black woman. What are you trying to do? How can we help you? And I'm like, you don't even know me, but they wanted to. The support was unreal and unmatched. And I really feel like that was the reason why I was able to land my job so quickly within a year, because the support was just unreal. People really wanted to see me win. So in response to your question, I definitely feel like I received so much more support in the tech industry as opposed to healthcare. But I also do want to credit that maybe I could have been more proactive with finding a support group on campus or in college. If I noticed that issue, because I only noticed once I graduated, but maybe if I noticed it when I was in school, hey, there needs to be a support group for minorities, maybe the outcome could have been different.
I definitely agree. I guess also in your support and really aiming for support. It sounds like you put in a lot of work there. And you mentioned earlier the time investment, right? 9 to 5, and then going beyond that. So you had to do a lot of sacrifices, I would presume, right?
Yes, I did.
So what sacrifices did you have to make on the journey in the tech world, through the tech world?
So I had to like not be social for a while. I had to not go to like
give up that social life, man.
I had to drop that social life because, you know, elevation requires separation. I saw that somewhere.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
And I just had to like, the parties are going to be there. The events will always be there.
Mm-hmm.
But the time to take charge is now. So I had to just say, I had to miss a lot of events for about 6 months. I stopped caring about my what I wear. Sometimes I feel like deciding what you're going to wear every day takes up time. I tried to maximize time in any space and capacity again. I can't. So that looked like giving myself a uniform. Like I'd buy the same outfit, like let's say a black top and black leggings. I buy 5 pairs of that and I wear that like every day. That could be something extreme, but I just knew that I spend too much time when I wake up trying to figure out what I want to wear. I got to minimize that. So if I wear the same thing, I'm saving time. I could allocate that to something else.
That's smart.
I spend too much time watching YouTube, being on Instagram. That doesn't help me with the goal. So I'm going to delete Instagram. I'm going to delete all these social media apps. If I'm on YouTube, I am watching tech videos. The only social media app I had for a while was LinkedIn. And I did that for a reason, to just motivate myself to network with other like-minded individuals. And I also forced myself to like, if I'm going to socialize, I'm going to tech events. I would just go to tech meetups and tech networking events.
Right.
So those are the kind of things that I did to meet my goal. Those are the kinds of sacrifices I made. I just didn't hang out with friends as often. I gave myself a uniform and I tried to like limit the amount of distractions I had. I was essentially trying to build better habits that could like lead me to the goal I had, which was breaking back. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. You know, sacrifice and discipline.
Yes.
I read a quote somewhere too. Yeah. And I agree. You know, I read a quote somewhere as well that says that, you know, the motivation depends on how you feel, right? But the discipline itself requires a habit, right? So you can be motivated when you wake up in the morning, but if there's no discipline within a short amount of time, you end up relapse or fall off because the discipline is not there. You gotta develop the habit. You say you're going to delete Instagram, or that was when you were preparing yourself to be where you are now?
When I was preparing myself to be where I was, I deleted it because I could find myself just looking at people. Someone's getting married.
Yeah.
Someone got the dream, like the job of their dream. Someone got this nice car. Someone got into a master's at an there was just so many things that I'm like, wow, what am I doing? And you know, comparison is the thief of joy. I was happy for all these people, but at the same time, I was kind of sad that I didn't have that.
I like that too. I like that quote. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
That's nice. That's powerful right there.
Right, because you know, social media makes it look like everyone has it all together, but that's a different. You don't know where they started and where they are now. You're looking at a different chapter in their life. You don't know that could be your chapter in the next year. So, you know, always pay it forward. Always be happy for people, but do what's necessary for you. That means deleting your Instagram and then working for that next goal you have. And do that. Like, do whatever you can to protect your mental health. So that's what I did. I deleted Instagram. I was like, you know what, Sandy, you need to be focused. These people are focused. They had a goal and they went out for it. What are you doing? So,
exactly. Really. Yeah. You have to get rid of it. And the reason why I asked about the Instagram piece, because I see you do a lot of your promotions, you know, in regards to trying to inspire others to get into the tech field, which of course, you know, this is time transcendence, and we're looking at experiences and, you know, applying them to how we live.
Oh, no, back when I did. Now it's on and popping.
I was talking to one of my colleague the other day, and the topic of globalization came up, but it was really about the technology advancement, right? And for people to advance, for us to advance, we have to sacrifice something. Some things we don't even want to sacrifice. So definitely agree with you on that. But I have one more question for you, right? And this is sort of like a reflective question. So in your own experiences, right, thinking about the technology experience that you have, been in the health field for some time, just the support and network you built, what does it mean to you to change the world?
Wow, that is such a good question. What does it mean to change the world? I just feel like if you're going to change the world, you should endeavor to make a difference, something that makes a difference. So I just feel like helping to inspire people, or even giving people, spreading opportunities that can help transform someone's life. That is a way you can help change the world. If you can change one, then you can change 50, you could change thousands, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what I try to do on my platform, with exposing individuals to different opportunities within the tech space for free. Because a lot of people are unaware of how they can change their life today, because they think, oh, if I want a master's, I have to pay X amount of money. If I want to do a certain healthcare field, I have to put down X amount of money. But I always try to introduce, well, if you want to break into something and you don't have the funds, you want to do completely free, that's where the tech space comes in. So I feel like introducing the world to like free opportunities to make a good living is another way where I could pay it forward and change the world, change someone's life. I feel like also being willing to adapt, being willing to be flexible is another way where people can see a different version of themselves and also change in the process.
That's amazing. That's amazing, really. Again, transcending. And we need others' experience to learn from other people's experience. Yes. And taking that experience, seeing it as an opportunity, learn from it and transcend. Thank you very much, Sandi. Appreciate you again for coming on. It's been awesome.
This has been a great talk. I really enjoyed talking about support, tech, transcending, learning from people's experiences. This was a wonderful time.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Time Transcendence. Remember to use what you gain here and transcend. Peace out.
Peace out.
Life requires our evolution to thrive through time. Using stories of experiences applied in life. Thus, we are time. We are transcending. This is Time